So what are we doing? Folding down first. Folding, shift the weight forward, then we are rotating the whole body into cross-legged position here. But the movement is still going, so we carry on. Going out to the side, come down to the side, and go onto the front of the body. Bring the legs round, push back through, up, come back through cross position. Carry on, around, back up to stand. Again, one up. Sorry, again. Okay, so everything down, soft. Drop the head, drop the head, go into cross position, keep moving, down, keep the dynamic going, keep it going, keep it turning. There you go. The other way, go down, reverse the direction. That requires some thinking. That's it. Good. And again, same direction, down. Sit, cross, roll, down, round, up. Good.
Oh, there was one.
Yes. Other way. There's always one. Someone knows better than everybody else on the highway code. No. One way. Come over here. There you go. Then. You over there. Everybody's spread out. Okay. All right. Now, going down, go out, and round. Okay. So this is more of a spring. You can see this. This is one of the basic. This shape of the body here. This deep crouch. You find this in so many animal species, but particularly in primates. It's a kind of position of deep preparedness. It's like the body is ready to go. It's called an alien crouch. Yeah, exactly. It's like, why? Because you can feel the whole body is ready to spring. Not like that, because that would actually take you, as you just did, it would take you that way, wouldn't it? So why would it take it that way? That's interesting. Because of that, the knee. This is our unique selling point as a species, this thing here. We have the largest, heaviest knee of any animal, and it's the most mobile. It's the only joint in our body which goes forward. There. So when we're in this shape here, if the knee is pointing that way, that's where we're going to go. Our knees are preparing us here. And now here, we're just going to go out here and then spring back in. There. And here, we got that impulse from here. So you're kind of following the line of the movement, around, back up, and flow. That's it. So, as dancers, you're probably familiar, someone shouts, oh, flow, let the movement flow, let the movement flow. What does that mean? It means don't impede the direction of the energy in the movement. Once you start something, it's like surfing. You begin to, and you go down, and you go down. So you find one moment, one thing you can do, which is going to give you the impulse to carry you through the next 10 seconds of your life. You don't need to think about the rest, you just need to think about this one thing. Here, I'm going to give myself that. See how far I can get this going. So I'm going to crouch here, open here, right, through here, up, here. So I'm still carrying it through, following me. Back. So that's just the one thing. Just carries you, just go with it. Off you go. Fly, my children, fly. Come on, you can do it. Just follow yourself. Follow yourself through the space. You've got a lot of spring in your body. Good. Keep it going. The only thing that stops you is your mind. Don't think. Think with your body. Yes, come on. There you go. Trust your intuition. Your body knows how to deal with the situation. Give it something to deal with. Good. Yes. Wow. Yeah, come on. Release the chins. There we go. Release your inner chin. That's great. Okay. Does that feel, how to say it? What does it feel? What do you feel? Spinning. Spinning. You feel spinning. Afterwards, I mean afterwards. Okay, weak is something that you feel. Does your body feel slightly excited? Okay, hang on to that, because that is what you want. When you're dancing, you want to feel that. You need that, because that's what's going to keep you ahead of the game. The moment which you stop feeling excited about what you're doing, you might as well just stop. You really might as well just stop. Particularly if you are in a performance mode, you want to kind of get your nervous system up to that level and stay there. And that is as much stamina as it is to have the stamina of the heart and the lungs and all that circulation stamina. It's that neural stamina, where the nervous system is in a state of outreach. So your senses are about reaching out, absorbing. All of your senses are passive except for one. The only sense which you have, which is proactive, is your movement sense. And that's what we're looking at. That's what I'm trying to get you to feel. Is how do you sense your own movement? And how does that sense stimulate you and get you going and stay on that level? Because that's where you're suddenly being creative. You're making intuitive choices and decisions. That's what aesthetics is about here. It's about your ability to make a choice and to continue making another choice and another choice and another choice. And the whole thing becomes like this chain of movement. So, spread out, take your chance, and off you go. Dive into it. Reach around. Find the stimulus to keep moving. Trust your judgment. Just watch out for other people around you. Good. Take chances. Into the floor, away from the floor. String, recoil. Use your line. Use axis through the body. The longitudinal axis, the horizontal axis through the arms and the legs. Follow it. Don't think, at least not with that part of your brain where you normally think. That don't work here. What we're looking at is the think with the movement. The movement is the sense. All the other senses are changing in relationship to where the movement sense is taking them. The movement changes the vector of all the other senses. What you see, where you're looking, what you're hearing. The amount of light that's going into your body. Keep going. Keep going. And if you need to stop, let the stop be part of your movement. Let the stop be a compositional choice. Stillness is fine. Stillness is absolutely fine. You must have movement. You must have stillness. It's like silence and sound. You can only appreciate the sound when you can hear the silence between the sound. So, stillness is a choice. Stillness is a place of movement suspended. And then it carries you through. It's a time to collect. So your movement pattern will start to become more like a wave pattern. A wave, a wave, a wave. That's it. Take it down. Take it down. Breathe into the shapes. Breathe into the stillness. When you move, carry the stillness with you. When you're still, feel the movement happening inside you. You're always looking at this contrast. We have to have contrast in order for the senses to make sense of what's going on. Otherwise, everything just becomes this blur of chemicals and body tissue. And it's through this judgment about stillness, and movement, shape, transition, position. This is how you make a statement. This is how you are starting to communicate. Not just communicate, you are increasing the range of experience and information that your body has access to. Your practice is primary. Knowledge helps you to define what your practice is, but your practice is where you get the knowledge. You only get the knowledge through the movement. There has to be access to movement where there's no judgment. It's exploration. It's stimulation. You are providing yourself with the opportunity to extend the range of experience that your body has access to. Balance, extension, flexion, rotation, isolation, full body movement, horizontal, vertical. thrusting, opening, closing. Along the way you go, you're beginning to create your own body language, which is quite independent of any particular technique. We're simply talking about what can you do? How do you do it? Why do you do it? Where do you do it? Who is doing it to whom? When do you do it? All the interrogations. Your movement is a series of questions, and your movement is a series of answers to the questions. You are interrogating the environment of your body. Without the question, there is no meaning to the movement. The question is, what am I doing? How am I doing this? Where is it going? And this is the way in which your body starts to not just extend the experience of itself, but also its own innate intelligence. Intelligence is the ability of an organism to adapt to changes within its environment. So you are providing the changes to the environment, and you are providing the adaptation at the same moment. And that is how you are creating kinetic intelligence in what you do. Very important. Stillness and movement. Choice, decisions, questions, answers, responses, recoil. There's so much going on. And there's so much of you that's doing this. You're spreading yourself forward in time. As you move, your body is going into a state of acute overdrive and change at a cellular level. The millions and billions of cells in your body are starting to be activated, and in that activation they rejuvenate, and you become someone else. You become different. You are the same you, but you are becoming someone other. And in that becoming someone other, you are extending yourself into the future. You are not the same person that you were at the beginning of the class. You're not the same person you were 5 minutes ago. Things are changing. Fluid is the sense of self. Shape. Movement is the phenomenon whereby shape, matter changes shape and location. That's what you're doing. This is the phenomenon. You are a phenomenon. You're not a fixed point. You are an ongoing phenomenological reality. That's what you are. And this is how you know that's what you are, because you move. Because movement accelerates that process. And if you don't move, you stagnate. The body becomes inert. It goes into shutdown. That's why movement is so important. Keep moving for the rest of your life. You'll be very happy. Map the body. Okay, your forward is good. Start to come up. I'd like to see now more movement whereby you're going to locate yourself through step pattern. Stepping in exactly the same way as we're doing, but just taking the chance to transition the weight left to right, right to left. Narrow step, open step, closed step, round, turning. Again, without creating too much prior opinion about what you're going to do, kick the thing off and follow it. Follow your feet. Follow where the weight is going. How do you change direction through the pelvis, through the shoulders, through the head, through your armpit? Can you make a different type of step to any step that you have done before? Can you step high, low, round, up, down? What happens if, can you kind of, for example, just suspend between one step and another and then move on? So you surprise yourself with stillness. Create a moment of suspension, which is also perhaps a moment of drama. The body is at its most dramatic when it changes direction or changes shape. That's when we go, wow, how did that happen? That's how you go, wow, how did that happen? You don't know either, because neither of you were there. You just let it go. Follow the impulse. Listen to what's going on inside you. If you can't listen, no one else is going to give a flying monkey about it. If you're listening, if you're focused, I'm going to be focused on you, watching you. If you're not focused, my focus is going to go somewhere else. So it's a reciprocal arrangement we're talking about here, people. We're talking about how do you extend the significance of what you do. Every moment is intentional, even if it is improvisational. That doesn't make it any less significant. Everything you do, you are meant to do. You mean to do it. There is no such thing in this work as an accident. There is no such thing as a kind of a thing which you didn't mean to happen. If something surprising happens, accommodate that. Allow it. You can't undo it, it's done. So own it. You are the author of what you do. And without your authorship, without your authority, the work is diminished. And you create and you amplify and you extend the range and the significance of what you do through the sense of authority about who it is who's doing it and how you're doing it. As you're working, you may begin to find that there are certain recurrent themes or shapes or patterns of movement that you're working with. And this is how you begin to develop your choreography. This is a choreographic process. This is where it begins. You begin to kind of define particular areas of interest. But it comes out of this exploration. Without this exploration, there is no authority to what you do. It's something that you're simply regurgitating from somewhere else. If you want to own it, you have to do it. You have to make it happen. And you have to enjoy it. You have to be stimulated. You have to be involved with the birth of this thing, and with its life, with its death, with its rebirth. So there's this continuous searching going on. And in that searching, there is a continuous way in which you are perfecting and polishing and improving the work. The more you do it, the more you can do it. So, blinding the obvious. What do I learn about movement? Move. Define the parameters of movement. Up and down, vertical, horizontal, extension, flexion, rotation, to the floor, away from the floor. Change your location, reverse it, recoil, effortless, effortful. Make it count. Enjoy it. Movement is a language which exists before language. This is a pre-linguistic state of communication. Yeah, if you want to work with someone else. Okay? I'm okay. I say rub it better, but are you okay? Yeah. This is it. Okay, then, that's fine. Good. Okay, come back down onto the floor, lie on your back, shake your arms and legs in the air. That's a very good dancer's way of, this is something that dancers do a lot. It's a way of just getting the circulation, dropping and draining your legs particularly. Otherwise, you're going to start to get very swollen and sore in the legs. So, shake out, shake, 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 shake. There you go. Good. And then relax. Come into the constructive rest position, feet down on the floor, knees up. And then in this position, constructive rest position is a very specific kind of shape where you lie on the back and you let your knees come in contact with each other and feet slightly out like that. So the knees are in, so both legs are supporting each other. And then drop your arms across your chest and just let the elbows hang down onto your ribs. So you kind of slightly stretch between the shoulder blades at the back, lengthen the back of the neck, and shut your eyes. Right, some round, some round. So if you'd like to roll out to your side, sit up. Five. 15 minutes, yeah. Does anybody else have to leave 15 minutes? Oh. 15 minutes past, all of us. It's just you. As you were working, as I said, did you notice any particular things that you might be repeating as certain things and you're working like that? You suddenly find your body is almost kind of starting to, of its own accord, generate particular patterns of experience, of sensation, of shape. Did you feel that at all? Did you kind of come across anything like that? If you did, or spent years not coming across anything. But, I noticed that some of you were starting to kind of get into a particular groove with something, and you were kind of starting to move in and shape it and finesse it a bit. That is a very good way of generating material. The question is, how would you how do you know? And how do you then generate and get that to somebody else? A very simple exercise that you can do is if somebody starts to make movements, it's what I used to call ghosting. You try and become their ghost, their shadow. You start, for example, you start to do something and I watch you and you kind of stay with that thing and you just stay with it. You wouldn't try and teach me. I would try and teach myself by looking at you and I would try to kind of follow it. I may not come up with the same thing. I might come up with a variation of that. I might come up with something that actually looks quite different, but it is a response to that. And so you start to kind of create a scenario where you're dialoguing. You could, for example, if you were making a choreography, you could use that process in the choreography. What you have to understand is that choreography doesn't have to be a determined structure. It can be, you can work with what is called an indeterminate structure, where you have elements in place which you know, or which you share. But how you do that is the choreography. Have you studied Merce Cunningham's work? Have you come across Merce Cunningham's work? Your exploration. Merce worked a lot with indeterminate structures. Particularly the work he was doing with John Cage in the early mid-60s, where they were working, where they would know all the bits, and how the bits were put together was the nature of the performance. So you would see, and I do this in my own choreography as well, you see the same things, you don't see them done in the same way. And that is a very interesting way of working with movement material, because it puts you on the edge. It's not the only way, of course, there's loads of other ways. What I'm trying to suggest to you is that there are ways in which you can generate material, you can generate choreographic signature in the space, which is not about living in a 3-minute time gap following a particular piece of music. You can generate a field of activity. Often it's something you can refer to as that. You generate a field as opposed to a straight line. It's a kind of open area of exploration. So you could say it's improvisation. It is improvising in the sense that you are not quite sure where you're going. But if you have your bits and pieces in place, for example, if we were to take, let's say, 1, 2, 3, 4 pattern. Right? So I'm going to go from here. I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, did I go this way first? Did I go there? Tell me, did I? Were you paying attention? I went there, to there. And then I went there to there. And then I went there. And then I lost my balance. Which is quite positive. Here. Here. Came up, I went to this foot, and I went back into something like that. Okay, so that's a phrase. So let's just say we'll call that A. That is A. A is this beast here. Okay. Now let's do B. So B is going to go B. Now B had things which were in A. They're just slightly different. So I started off where A started off with this. B started off with this. This is the same as the second bit of A. So here, yeah, I think I did this here. Here. I think I went there. And there. So that's B. Now let's put C in place. So C is going to be quite different. C is going to go C. So now, if we had 3 people doing that, and you all knew A, B, and C, and I said you're going to do A followed by B followed by C. You're going to do C followed by B followed by A. You're going to do C by B or A, and then you're all going to go and do A, B, C together. You've probably got about a minute and a half worth of material there without even thinking about what happens next. So then you could do it again. You could do D, E, and F. Or you could do A followed by D with C. And then you'd have X, which could be a duet, for example. Okay? So what I'm suggesting is that you can build up these little bits and you can just play with them around. And they don't have to be that complicated. But what you have is the interlocking of these different formal shaped patterns. We start to begin to recognize how this is beginning to happen. Are you kind of looking at this? Yeah? So what you could do to kind of define, if you like, what this material is about is that you have certain shapes, certain patterns, which you keep seeing again and again and again. You see how this particular shape keeps on reoccurring and it begins to morph into something else. Let's see, for example, if I was to do a pattern which was to be a running pattern, for example, I could do A. That could be A. So if we all do A, we do that. That's nice. That's kind of cool. That's a bit of something, you know. And then suddenly I go off into do B, you go off into do C, and then we come back and do A again. So you're not having to kind of think in these long chains of what happens next. You're starting to explore and play with it. And then as you're looking at it, you can begin to make decisions about what you want to choose, what you want to change. So okay, let's just separate this from it. What happens if somebody doesn't do anything? We could say that that's, you know, they're out of action. Or they just hold a shape. Or you can say this is the shape here. You know, and then you move through it. And you'd be amazed at how much material you can start to gather in. And you're not having to kind of remember huge chunks of narrative. You're not having to think, what is this about? You start to listen to the material, you look at the material. You do what you were doing earlier, you're generating material, but now you're starting to just give it a little bit of something else. And then, you know, the question is, are you doing this to sound? Maybe. Does it matter? No, it doesn't. You could sometimes, you know, you could take a piece of music and you could then fit this kind of structure to some music, for example, if that's what you wanted to do. What would be interesting, of course, would be to kind of start with one type of music and then put on something completely different and do the same movement material, which is a very kind of, you know, finessing kind of way to do it. You can kind of play with that kind of thing. Does that make any kind of sense? I've done whole choreographies like this where, have you seen Rondé at all? You know Rondé dance company? Yeah. I did a piece with them years ago called Completely Birdland. And we worked through these different generations of movement material. And the dancers would not know before the performance what they were going to do. So the stage manager, 5 minutes before they went on stage, opened an envelope. And in the envelope there would be there was 10 dancers, there would be 10 pieces of paper. And each piece of paper had a particular sequence on it. It would go, for example, dancer 1 would have A, B, D, C, B, D, A. They write that down on their arm. And then the next generation of material would be F, G, H, B, A, C, D. Write that down. Followed by, interspersed in there somewhere, they have the possibility of an X. X1, X2, X3. That's a duet with somebody else. So they're writing that down on their arm before the performance. And they're all doing this. They've all got a different score. They've all got the same material, but they're doing it in different orders. And the only thing that's kind of completing, holding it, is the fact that there's a limited amount of time. They've got 25 minutes, I think it was, or something like that, for this piece. And that piece is divided into 3 sections. But they don't have to play with those sections. They've got their own score. But visually, the piece is going to have 3 different kind of phrases. And so you see all these dancers writing this down 5 minutes before the performance, and then the curtain goes up. And I'm in the wings watching them, and they're all in the wings looking at each other, and then one of them goes, and they start. And someone else goes, okay, he's doing that, so I'm going to go and she goes, okay, I'm going to do my bit is C, and she starts. And then they start feeding in each other. So they know because they're trained dancers, they know very well the material. They've just got a lot of things to remember which bit is which. But then it's like they're choosing exactly when and where and how they do it. So each dancer is responsible. Someone could start right down the front of the stage and begin their material and just do it right back here against the wings. The next performance, they could be upstage in the centre, doing exactly the same material. Well, they wouldn't do it because it's different every time. You get what I mean? So the location of the space, the shaping of the space, is a choice which each dancer is making, but they're all making it with this kind of collective mindset, and they've got this strategy in place which allows them to reconstruct every night out of the same material a different choreography, but it's the same choreography. It's always the same thing, but it's never the same, never done the same way. So that's I give that to you as a kind of a way of thinking. It's the way I'm describing it now is very complicated, but actually the essence of it is very, very simple. You know, you just take 3 phrases, and they don't have to be any longer than 10 seconds long. And work, then sing, and then play the next, and then play the next. That sounds like my phone. I'm embarrassing. Sorry. Okay. Oh, I know what it is. Sorry about that, I did switch off, but I have a weekly alarm at this time. I normally see somebody every week at this time. Would you like to stand up, please? Have you done much duet work with each other? I saw some of you doing a little bit of kind of a orally thing. You guys are doing a bit of contacting back and nice. Have you done that kind of work with each other? Beatrice's lessons. So what does that mean? You've been doing giving and taking weight? And that sort of thing? Right. Okay, you're my partner. Hello. All right, my partner and I, we're going to hold hands here. We're going to just take weight, pull back. So this is the easiest way of taking weight, isn't it? Counterbalance. That's fairly straightforward, isn't it? Just counterbalance weight, take down, turn, follow each other. So what we're looking at is is when you're counterbalancing, what are we balancing? I'm balancing my centre, where I'm heaviest, against her centre, which is where she's heaviest. And we're trying to get a transmission here where there's no block. If I pull in, there's a block. She can no longer really feel my centre. And I can feel hers, but it's not quite the same thing. There we go. So now, here, the only problem with this scenario is the fact that she's wearing socks. So I just have to be aware of that she may slip and go skating. Here. So, here. Got this. That's it, there. So we're just going to be prepared to change grip. Oh, okay, so just play with that a bit. As I said earlier, it's about playing. It's always about playing. Have you all got harder? All right. Watch out for the socks then.